Alright, my name is Andrew Geller, and I'm in the economics department, and today we're going to talk about elasticity. Elasticity is a big, scary word, but it's a big name for a small concept, which is just the sensitivity of one variable to another variable. That's another scary set of terms, so we're going to use a specific example. Price elasticity of demand. So we talked about demand curves last week, and the point of looking at the price elasticity of demand is that we're going to examine how sensitive the quantity demanded is to changes in price. So if you have a product like a pen, and it costs 75 cents, and then all of a sudden you double your price to $1.50. Not a whole lot of people are going to care about your increased price because everyone has to buy pens. The price is pretty small in the first place, and buying a pen at twice the cost doesn't make a big difference to finances in the end. So the point of elasticity is that you can examine any kind of variable and know how sensitive it is to changes. So let's illustrate that with a graph. This is a demand curve charted on the price and elasticity, the price and quantity axis. This is an example of a good that's pretty elastic because this is your equilibrium price, and then all of a sudden it moves to here. This is your change in quantity, Q1 to Q2, right here. And this is your change in price, P1, P2. A relatively small change in price produced a big change in the quantity demanded. That's a sign that at this point in the curve, the elasticity is pretty high. If we look at another example of a demand curve that looks like this, big change in price produced a relatively small change in quantity demanded. This is an example of an inelastic product. Now you might notice that the elastic product is associated with a smaller slope, and the elastic product is associated with a higher slope. It's true that elasticity is related to a slope, but it's not the same thing. The intuitive example is that it's related to slope, but to be mathematically formal, this is the slope, the partial derivative of your demand curve. But for elasticity, we're going to multiply by P over Q because the slope is going to give you the unit change in your quantity demanded, but elasticity is actually the percentage change in your quantity demanded. Now, this is a little confusing for those of you who have type calculus, so if you need to combine my opposite orders, we can go over some basic derivatives, that's fine. It'll just take an hour or so. And it's important because this is the definition of elasticity that you're going to be using for the rest of your economics classes, especially if you go on to intermediate micro. So does anyone think of any examples of an inelastic product?
No, that was your one.
Well, if you're thinking about inelastic products, you're thinking about ones that where if you change the price by a large amount, quantity is not going to change that much. So that's the pen example.
Well, products that you're going to buy anyways, even though the price changes. So say, for example, women don't buy their makeups anyways, even though
right.
prices go up.
Something that's a staple, something that you buy regularly, something that you're going to need a lot of often, something that you're always going to want around. That's something where you might change your amount of it a little bit depending on the price, but for example, gas, you're always going to need gas in your car if you drive. So if the price goes up a lot, I mean, it's annoying, but you're still going to need to drive some